There is a secret to power that the modern world has forgotten. It is a secret written into the very fabric of the cosmos, yet we walk past it every day, blind and deaf to its rhythm. We see the world as a collection of objects, dead things, moving parts, political noise, and economic struggle. But if you truly stop and look at the geometry of a single cell, or the arc of a galaxy, or the silence of a mountain, you realize that you are staring at magic. The universe is not a machine. It is a living, breathing thought. It is the exhaled breath of a creator who is the uncaused cause. Think about that. Everything you see, everything you touch is an effect. But what is the cause? A painting does not paint itself. Even if the painter has been dead for 1,000 years, the canvas remains as a testament to a will, an intention, a consciousness that said, "Let there be." We live in a world that is desperate to deny this painter. We have convinced ourselves that chaos birthed order, that the foundation of our house is made of accidents. But you do not build a civilization on an accident. You do not build a life on the shifting sands of chance. You must start with a rock. And once you understand that there is a creator behind the curtain of reality, the question changes. It is no longer, how does this work? It becomes, why? Why create a universe of such terrifying beauty? Why create a consciousness capable of perceiving it? A painter does not paint for the void. He paints to be seen. He paints to share a vision. The creator gives you a consciousness, a fragment of the divine spark, not so you can lose yourself in the distractions of the flesh, but so you can recognize the artist. It is a relationship. It is an invitation to appreciate the magic. But here is the tragedy. We have taken this gift, this consciousness capable of touching the infinite, and we have sold it for cheap thrills and petty grievances. We have fallen asleep. We are like children born into a corrupt household, inheriting a madness we did not create but are forced to survive. We enter this world, and two forces are waiting for us. There is the good, which sustains the stars and the breath in your lungs, and there is the corruption, the shadow, the entropy that seeks to tear it all down. Most of us do not know who we are. We think we are our thoughts. We think we are our emotions. We think we are the reactions we have to the people around us. But that is not you. That is the programming. That is the biological machine reacting to stimulus. The moment you believe that your anger is you, you are a slave. The moment you believe that your fear is your identity, you have lost the war. And make no mistake, it is a war. It is not a war of guns and borders. It is a war for the territory of your soul. It is a psychological warfare where the enemy is not a person, but a principle, a principality of darkness that thrives on your confusion. It wants you to react. It needs you to react. Because when you react, you are not acting. You are being moved. You are a puppet dancing to the strings of a hidden master. Let us look closely at the mechanics of this slavery. It begins in the home, the crucible, where the human spirit is either forged or fractured. We see the dysfunction between men and women, the endless cycle of hurt and misunderstanding. It is as old as the garden. It is the story of paradise lost, replaying itself in every living room across the world. We have a society that has inverted reality. Strength is called toxicity. Weakness is celebrated as virtue. We have men who have forgotten how to be rocks, becoming porous and fluid, unable to withstand the storm. We have women who have been forced to become armor, hard and sharp, because the men meant to protect them have crumbled. It is a tragedy of errors where everyone is playing a role they were never designed for. When a man falls from his station, when he loses his connection to the absolute, he begins to look for salvation in the world. He looks for it in a woman. He falls in love not as an act of giving, but as an act of taking. He needs her to validate him. He needs her to be his goddess. And in doing so, he places a burden on her shoulders that she was never meant to carry. She cannot be his god. And when she fails to be his god, he resents her. He reacts. He becomes a tyrant or a wimp, and usually They are two sides of the same coin. This is the mechanism of the fall. It is the transfer of authority from the creator to the creation. When you fear a person, you are worshiping them. When you are angry at a person, you are worshiping them. You have given them power over your internal state. You have said, "You are the master of my peace. You hold the keys to my sanity." Think of the bully, the tyrant, the abuser. What are they really? They are vampires. They have cut themselves off from the source of life, and so they must feed on yours. They intimidate, they provoke, they push buttons. They are looking for a reaction. Why? Because a reaction is energy. When you explode in anger, you are feeding the beast. When you shrink in fear, you are feeding the beast. You are confirming their power. You are participating in a dark communion where both of you are dragged down into the mud. But what happens if you don't react? This is the secret that changes everything. What happens if the piano falls from the sky, and instead of screaming, you simply step aside? What happens if the insults come, and they pass through you like smoke? This is not passivity. Do not mistake stillness for weakness. This is the highest form of action. It is the nonviolent force. It is the martial art of the spirit. When you stand in the presence of a storm and you do not shake, you become something else. You become a mirror. You reflect the chaos back to its source. Consider the behavior of animals. They are honest in a way humans are not. If you have a chaotic, aggressive dog, a little tyrant tearing up the furniture, how do you cure it? Do you plead with it? Do you try to reason with it? Do you give it affection while it is snapping at you? No. That only reinforces the madness. You cure it with presence. You see this with the great animal trainers. They do not scream. They do not run. They project a calm, assertive energy. They claim the space. The dog, which is operating on instinct, senses a higher frequency. It senses a pack leader. It senses authority, and it submits, not out of fear, but out of relief. The dog does not want to be the alpha. It is stressed by the burden of leadership it is not equipped for. It wants to rest in the shadow of a true master. Humans are not so different. We are possessed by these animal instincts, the fight or flight, the territorial aggression, the need to dominate or submit. When you are dealing with a person who is acting out of their lower nature, you are dealing with a frightened animal. If you respond with your own animal nature, your own anger, your own ego, you are just two dogs fighting in the dirt. There is no authority there. There is only noise. But if you can find that place of patient endurance, that connection to the creator that bypasses the ego, you become the dog whisperer of the human condition. You do not have to say a word. Your very being becomes a correction. You are a rock in a river of sludge. The sludge must flow around you. It cannot move you. This is the only way to save a family. This is the only way to save a marriage. It is the only way to save a nation. You cannot legislate morality. You cannot bomb people into peace. You cannot use the tools of the corrupt system to fix the corrupt system. You must introduce a new element. You must introduce the element of grace. Grace is not a soft, sentimental thing. Grace is power. It is the power to not do what is natural. It is natural to hit back. It is natural to hold a grudge. It is natural to seek revenge. It is supernatural to forgive. And forgiveness is not saying what you did is okay. Forgiveness is refusing to let the other person's darkness enter you. It is refusing to drink the poison. We look at history, and we see the wreckage of reaction. We see revolutions that became tyrannies. We see victims who became victimizers. It is the endless wheel of karma, the law of cause and effect, grinding humanity into dust. Look at the political landscape. It is a theater of puppets. We have leaders who are not men, but shadows, governed by poles, governed by fear, governed by the need to be loved. They are feminine in spirit, fluid and uncertain, masking their weakness with bravado. And because the head is sick, the body is dying. A nation led by fear will always descend into slavery. We are seeing the rise of a soft totalitarianism. It does not march in with jackboots. It creeps in with a smile. It tells you that it is for your own good. It creates a dependency. It creates a population of children looking for a government parent to feed them, to clothe them, to tell them what to think. And like a spoiled child, the population grows resentful. They hate the hand that feeds them, but they cannot let go of it. This is the psychology of the welfare state. It is the psychology of the dysfunctional home written large. And there is no political solution to a spiritual problem. You can change the administration, but if the people are still slaves to their appetites, slaves to their resentment, slaves to the media that programs them, nothing will change. The names change, but the spirit remains the same. The only revolution that matters is the revolution of the individual soul. It is the decision to wake up. It is the decision to say, I will not be a product of my environment. I will not be a product of my trauma. I will not be a product of my parents' mistakes. So how do we break the chain? How do we stand when the whole world is telling us to kneel? It begins with observation. You must learn to watch yourself. Watch the thoughts that crawl into your mind like spiders. Watch the emotions that rise up like bile, but do not identify with them. Catch them. Ah, there is anger. I see you. There is fear. I see you. In the seeing, there is distance. And in that distance, there is freedom. You must cultivate a relationship with the stillness. You must learn to sit quietly, to endure the silence until the silence speaks. This is where you find the Creator. Not in the noise of the church, not in the shouting of the preacher, but in the secret chamber of your own heart where the battle is fought and won. This is what I call patient endurance. It is the ability to suffer the presence of evil without becoming evil. It is the ability to look at a lie and not need to shout the truth, because the truth does not need your defense. The truth is a lion. You let it out of the cage, and it defends itself. When you live this way, you become dangerous to the system. A man who cannot be bought, who cannot be intimidated, who cannot be seduced. This is the most powerful force on earth. You could be a janitor, or a soldier, or a grandfather. It does not matter. If you have this sovereignty, you are a king. I have seen the broken heel. I have seen soldiers with minds shattered by the horrors of war find peace, not through a pill, but through this realization. They realize that the war outside was just a reflection of the war inside. And when the war inside ends, the enemy loses his grip. You have a choice. You can continue to be a leaf blown by the wind, reacting to every gust of circumstance, blaming the world for your unhappiness. Or you can become the trunk of the tree. Deep roots, unmovable. The storm will still come. The winds will still howl. The people around you may still be crazy, but you will not be. And in your sanity, you offer them a lifeline. You become the lighthouse. You don't run into the ocean to save the drowning ships. You simply stand on the rock and shine the light. This is the invitation. It is an invitation to come home to yourself, to leave the matrix of reaction and enter the kingdom of action, to stop asking the world to love you, and to start being the love that the world is starving for. It is a narrow path. It is a hard path. But it is the only path that leads to life. The alternative is a slow death by 1,000 compromises. Stand up, be still, and know that if you are centered in this truth, God is with you. And if God is with you, who can be against you?